Close your eyes for a moment and picture this. A glittering dinner hall inside a luxury golf club, the air buzzing with anticipation. At the head table, Donald Trump himself, flanked by top investors from around the world, rises to speak. Behind him gleams the official presidential seal, front and center on the podium, an unmistakable emblem of American power. But tonight, it isn't a state dinner, or even an official White House event. It's the heart of a private, $394 million crypto gala. And the only thing on the menu hotter than the bread and butter is controversy. How did we get here? Why are critics calling this the Mount Everest of corruption? And could a meme coin named Trump really be the spark that ignites a firestorm of legal, financial, and ethical battles with global consequences? Buckle up as we unveil the shocking backstory and looming risks behind a dinner that just might change the rules of American politics, technology, and money. In the last decade, cryptocurrency has crashed into the mainstream like a financial meteor. What began as a niche experiment is now a multi-trillion-dollar ecosystem, with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a wild zoo of meme coins turning tech-savvy dreamers into overnight millionaires, and sometimes fools parted from their cash. But nothing in the wild world of crypto prepared anyone for the headline-grabbing spectacle of a former, and potentially future, president hurling himself headfirst into the most controversial corners of digital finance. On a recent Thursday evening, the Trump National Golf Club in Virginia became ground zero for a saga that blends spectacle, politics, and technology. Donald Trump, never one to shy from controversy, hosted an exclusive dinner for the biggest investors in the Trump meme coin, a crypto token bearing his name and celebrity. The catch? Entry to this so-called reward required spending enormous sums on Trump coins, with the 220 top buyers earning a golden ticket to break bread with the man himself. According to blockchain analytics cited by NBC News, a staggering $394 million was spent by these investors, many of them hailing from outside the United States. If the figure feels surreal, it's because in some ways it is, an event that feels more like an auction for access than a celebration of technology or innovation. Just before the event, the Trump Force One Marine helicopter descended in full view, adding theatrics worthy of a Netflix drama. And emblazoned across the podium, the unmistakable presidential seal, a symbol of state authority, now front and center at a for-profit crypto bash. What was supposed to be a night of prestige and privilege immediately collided with a storm of legal and ethical alarms. The drama was immediate and unmissable. Protesters lined the club's entrance waving signs that read "Grift Gala," "America is not for sale," and "Stop Crypto Corruption." On social media, the story trended with hashtags like #CryptoCorruption and #Mount Everest of corruption. Outside, Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley thundered, "This is the Mount Everest of corruption," a line that would echo across cable news and Twitter feeds for days. Critics had a powerful case. The presidential seal is not mere decoration. Under U.S. federal law, specifically Title 18, Section 713 of the U.S. Code, it cannot be used in any way that implies government sponsorship of private business. Violations can bring hefty fines and even jail time. Using the presidential seal at a for-profit event likely violates federal regulations, as it implies government endorsement of a private activity, undermining the symbol's integrity, warns attorney Tracy Gallagher. If true, this could represent a legal time bomb for Trump's camp. Yet the stakes run far deeper than legal wrangling over iconography. The event laid bare a modern dilemma. When money, power, and new technology collide in the hands of political titans, whose side is the law really on? More importantly, what does this mean for democracy, global finance, and the credibility of government itself? In Washington, alarm bells blared. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle called for urgent inquiries. The White House insisted Trump was attending in his personal time, and that the event was not an official government function. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt sought to distance the administration from the crypto commotion. But critics, including watchdog groups, were unconvinced. Senator Richard Blumenthal put it bluntly, "What's happening tonight at Trump's golf course is, in effect, putting a for sale sign on the White House. It's auctioning off access." There's a reason this controversy feels unprecedented. Never in modern U.S. history has a president, current or former, so publicly mixed private wealth building with the prestige, symbols, and influence of the nation's highest office. The Emoluments Clause of the Constitution, rooted in concerns over foreign influence, is meant to prevent exactly this blurring of public duty and personal gain. Already, some lawmakers are demanding investigations into whether foreign investors' participation in the Trump event constitutes an illegal gift or bribe. The mounting evidence shows a dangerous intersection between public service and private enrichment, says Donald Sherman of Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. This event represents one of the most blatant and appalling instances of selling access to the presidency, blurring the lines between public service and private gain. But the complexity doesn't end with legal or constitutional questions. Layered on top are the chaotic dynamics of the crypto market itself. As meme coins and digital tokens become global financial playthings, they also become tools for skirting campaign finance laws and introducing new sources of foreign influence, often outside the reach of traditional regulators. Consider the numbers. $394 million flowed into Trump tokens for the express purpose of gaining access to a private dinner. Many of those funds, critics allege, may have originated from outside the U.S., potentially sidestepping American campaign finance laws. Blockchain, for all its transparency, still masks the true identities of many investors. That's a recipe for regulatory nightmares. Some in Congress have responded by fast-tracking legislation like the End Crypto Corruption Act, designed to address exactly this type of exposure. There are bipartisan calls for greater transparency, more aggressive SEC action, and a crackdown on elected officials using crypto as a personal piggy bank. Yet the regulatory landscape remains fragmented, and enforcement struggles to keep up with innovation. Meanwhile, financial analysts and crypto researchers are sounding alarms about the broader implications. Molly White, a respected crypto researcher, notes, "It's not terribly surprising that USD1 is trading on Qcoin, given its regulatory history, highlighting the complex and often unregulated nature of the crypto exchange landscape." In plain terms, if a sitting or former president can use opaque digital coins to possibly attract foreign money and personal gain, who's next? To complicate matters further, the Securities and Exchange Commission has reportedly started monitoring both the Trump coin and its main issuer, World Liberty Financial, for potential securities law violations. Price volatility in the Trump token spiked before and after the dinner, suggesting that market manipulation and insider trading may be at play. Analysts warn a market collapse or an SEC crackdown could send shockwaves through the entire meme coin sector, destroying hundreds of millions in speculative wealth overnight. For Trump loyalists and crypto enthusiasts, the event was a triumph, a demonstration of digital age fundraising, innovation, and celebrity appeal. But for many U.S. citizens and global observers, it felt like something darker, a brazen merging of public trust and personal profit, with American sovereignty put up for bid. Inside the event, not all was golden. Attendees described underwhelming food and a heavy atmosphere of competition, with TikTok personality Nick Pinto quipping, "The only good thing was the bread and butter." The line, now viral, speaks volumes about the hollowness some felt beneath the glitz, as the true cost of access became clear. This single dinner table, then, becomes a powerful symbol of how new digital assets can be leveraged for unprecedented political fundraising, of how legal and ethical lines can blur in the pursuit of influence, and of how global money, once constrained by borders, now flows almost anonymously into the heart of American politics. Could this be the tipping point that forces lawmakers to finally draw clear boundaries between public office and personal enrichment? Or will the hunger for money and influence, fueled by new technologies like cryptocurrency, overwhelm even the oldest guardrails in U.S. law and democracy? One thing is certain: this clash of tradition and technology is only getting started. With regulatory agencies circling, Congress drafting new restrictions, and public outrage still swelling, the fate of Trump coin and the future of ethical governance in the digital age now hang in the balance. But as plates are cleared from the controversial dinner, a far more disturbing question lingers in the air. What happens if this model of access for tokens sets a precedent, not just in America, but for political systems worldwide? As the battle lines are drawn, the eyes of the world are watching, and the next moves may reshape our entire understanding of power, technology, and the price of democracy. But what happens next? In the wake of Trump's Trump coin gala, the world is watching, and not just with raised eyebrows, but with real concern about what this means for the future of politics, law, and finance. The stakes have never felt higher, and the fallout from this event could ripple far beyond the walls of Trump's golf club. Let's start with the most immediate consequence, an unprecedented legal gray zone now in full view. Already, top legal experts and political watchdogs are weighing in. Attorney Tracy Gallagher didn't mince words, saying, Using the presidential seal at a for-profit event likely violates federal regulations, as it implies government endorsement of a private activity, undermining the symbol's integrity. If the Department of Justice or the Office of Government Ethics decides to act, we could see a landmark case that sets the tone for every future president and every public figure aiming to profit from their time in office. The law, as it stands, is clear. Federal symbols cannot be used to promote private business. But enforcement has often been lax, and the crypto Wild West presents challenges the framers of the law never imagined. Could Trump face real legal jeopardy, or will officials again look the other way? The answer may depend on the political winds and public outcry. Yet the legal outcome is only the tip of the iceberg. Congressional leaders from both parties have already hinted at formal inquiries and even public hearings. What's happening at Trump's golf course is, in effect, putting a for sale sign on the White House, warned Senator Richard Blumenthal. These aren't just partisan barbs. The event has united progressive reformers and traditionalists worried about the integrity of American institutions. If Congress takes up the issue, sweeping new rules could follow. Draft legislation already in the works proposes strict boundaries for how government officials can participate in cryptocurrency, especially coins tied to their own name or brand. That could mean mandatory transparency for any official's digital asset holdings, new restrictions on political fundraising via crypto, and much harsher penalties for blending state symbols with personal business. But the genie is out of the bottle. Lawmakers are not just fighting Trump, they're facing a tidal wave of technological change that's transforming global money. The Trump dinner was only the flashiest example. Already, crypto's reach extends to campaign finance, international investment, and even covert political influence. Security risks hang in the air as well. The dinner saw investors from across the globe, with blockchain analysis confirming millions coming in from addresses linked to foreign jurisdictions. Critics like Donald Sherman of Crew have sounded the alarm. This event represents one of the most blatant and appalling instances of selling access to the presidency, blurring the lines between public service and private gain. Imagine for a moment, what if foreign investors treat crypto dinners like this as an easy ticket to buy influence? What if sovereign wealth funds, sanctioned oligarchs, or even state-backed entities use meme coins to bypass traditional oversight? In this emerging world, the line between political support and covert bribery is perilously thin. That's not just speculation. Financial analysts warn that crypto's anonymity is a magnet for those looking to skirt anti-corruption safeguards. Meanwhile, the Securities and Exchange Commission is watching closely. Reports signal ongoing monitoring of Trump and World Liberty Financial for possible securities violations. If classified as securities, these tokens could face shutdowns or heavy penalties, and investors could be left holding the bag. The ripple effect on the broader crypto market might be massive, as each regulatory move sends prices swinging and sows doubt about the future of meme coins. But let's widen the lens. Other world leaders are paying attention. If U.S. officials don't draw a hard line now, what's to stop presidents or prime ministers in other countries from hosting their own blockchain galas? The stage is set for a global domino effect, where every head of state is tempted to turn public service into a personal token launchpad. Without global norms and tighter controls, the fusion of government authority and private crypto ventures could become a dangerous new norm. And there's yet another layer, the rise of central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. Some experts argue that the chaos of private meme coins like Trump will push governments to accelerate the launch of official digital dollars, euros, and yuan. CBDCs could offer greater transparency, regulatory compliance, and consumer protection, but also raise new debates about privacy, surveillance, and economic control. The fragmentation of crypto's regulatory landscape, different rules in every country, has the potential to spark a new era of international financial tension. Nations that embrace loose oversight may attract bad actors. Those that tighten the screws might stifle innovation. In this global chess game, even a single dinner could have consequences for the next decade of economic diplomacy. So where does that leave us, the average citizen, the skeptical voter, the curious investor? First and foremost, the Trump coin affair is a giant red flag about personal responsibility and due diligence. The spectacle of famous faces pitching meme coins isn't just about celebrity power. It's a test of our collective critical thinking. Before jumping into any crypto project, whether it's Trump, Doge, or any new token, ask yourself, who benefits? Who controls the tokens? Is this project built on real value, or is it just hype and access? Second, beware of the illusion of access. The nearly $400 million spent at the dinner wasn't for steak or conversation, it was for proximity, for the chance that being in the right room could influence policy or unlock future favors. This dynamic isn't unique to Trump, but the blockchain makes it far easier to monetize, anonymize, and scale up these transactions. If you're an investor enticed by the next big political-themed token, remember, behind every promise of exclusive access is a real risk of legal blowback, massive volatility, and even criminal investigation. Third, and perhaps most important, this saga is a wake-up call for anyone who cares about democracy and the future of money. The blending of private profit and public office threatens core democratic values: fairness, transparency, and trust. If lawmakers fail to act, or if voters let these stories slide, we may wake up in a world where government power is auctioned to the highest bidder, hidden behind layers of digital code. But there's another angle: opportunity. Crypto is here to stay, and the backlash from events like Trump's dinner could finally force real solutions. Experts like Daniel Weiner of the Brennan Center for Justice are pushing for a new legal framework, one that recognizes both the promise of innovation and the need for robust safeguards. It's completely unprecedented to have a U.S. president attending a dinner like this, putting money into the president's pocket. That's something new, he said. Now is the moment for society to set clear boundaries: what's allowed, what's forbidden, and what's in the public interest. For investors and voters alike, the lesson is clear: demand transparency, ask tough questions, and pay attention to where your money and your trust are going. Watchdogs and journalists can only do so much. Real accountability starts with people refusing to look away when the next Trump coin, Kardashian token, or celebrity-backed meme coin hits the news. And here's a practical takeaway. If you're approached with any crypto investment, especially one tied to a public figure, do your homework. Check who runs the project, look up their track record, and don't be swayed by glitzy marketing or star-studded dinners. If government symbols or official imagery are used, that's a huge red flag. It's a telltale sign that boundaries are being tested, and possibly crossed. Now, stepping back, let's answer the big question we started with. Did Trump's event set a dangerous precedent for global politics? Or will it be the catalyst that finally forces new boundaries between technology, money, and power? The truth is, both outcomes are possible, and only time will tell which road we take. On one hand, the Trump dinner is now a blueprint for how easily influence can be monetized in the digital age. If left unchecked, politicians and power brokers everywhere may follow suit, undermining public trust and fueling a new era of politicized crypto scams. On the other hand, the public backlash, legal scrutiny, and legislative momentum we're seeing could finally bring about the long-overdue reforms needed to keep technology in service of democratic values, not private gain. Which path will win? That depends on what happens next, inside Congress, inside courtrooms, and most of all, at the ballot box. If enough people demand real change, the Trump coin dinner could one day be remembered as the last gasp of the old ways, not the template for the future. And before we close, here's a little-known fact. According to historical archives, the design of the presidential seal was intended from the very beginning to symbolize the unity and integrity of public service, never personal gain. The decision to standardize the seal in 1945 after World War II was made in part to stop its misuse by private groups. Now in 2024, that battle is raging anew, not just in courtrooms, but in the digital economy. So, stay curious, stay critical, and don't underestimate the power of public pressure to shape the rules of tomorrow. If you found this story eye-opening, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we'll be following every twist as this story unfolds. And drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think politicians should be allowed to profit from crypto? Where should we draw the line? Your opinion matters, and together, we can keep the spotlight shining